Man, oh man, we got a lot of work ahead of us today, boys. All right, so last time you guys saw this thing, we just picked it up from wherever the fire happened with the STI. We brought it back to the shop, and today we're gonna officially start diving into it, try to figure out what caused the fire and fix it so that it never happens again. The car also didn't start, so today's goal is to, one, clean up the entire engine bay, clean up the entire car, get all this fire extinguisher powder out of here, and it's might be a little harder than it looks. This stuff is kind of sticky, which is definitely gonna make it harder to clean everything up. We not only have to clean this thing up, but we also have to get it to start. I don't know if it was the battery or not, but last time we tried starting this thing didn't even crank. So we definitely have to figure that out. For once, I'm not excited to work on this car. This looks like it's going to be the biggest pain in the butt ever, man. Oh man, look at that. That is, you really have to give it some force to get it out of there. Jeez. I don't know if any of you have ever smelled fire extinguisher powder, but this stuff smells gross. Not only does it smell gross, but this stuff is actually sticky, which is gonna make it terrible to clean up. Busting out the Milwaukee vacuum. This thing is a beast. I'm gonna first try to suck up all the powder. Let's see how far we get with that. Unfortunately, I think I am gonna have to get some degreaser and rags and scrub the entire thing down. I kind of now regret just spraying the fire extinguisher everywhere, because when the fire happened, I saw the fire. It was only down there, but because I was freaking out, I just sprayed it everywhere, thinking maybe the whole motor, the back of the motor might be on fire too, and now I definitely regret it, because fire extinguisher powder is even on the transmission. Dude, that is gonna be a pain in the butt to clean up for sure. First order of business is to clean it up. Once we clean it up, then we'll be able to see maybe where the fire came from. If you guys remember from the last video, we think that it might have come from somewhere right over there. There is some melted plastic on the header, so that might be where the fire rooted from. It's really hard to tell right now because everything's just such a mess, so let's go ahead and clean this thing up. All right, so I pulled the car outside. So I vacuumed everything I could. All the fire extinguisher powder that's left in the engine bay is something that I have to scrub off. I sprayed it down with degreaser, hit it with that brush, and you know, I was getting somewhere, but it's just taking way too much time. If I keep that up, I'm gonna be here all day. We need to speed things up just a little bit. So I went to Harbor Freight and picked up this little 2-gallon, well actually not so little, but a 2-gallon sprayer. You fill this up with water or degreaser, whatever you want. You just give her a few pumps, and then you have a little sprayer. You can adjust the fan speed on this so you can make it more aggressive or less aggressive. Using this thing is probably going to be our best bet in getting this thing done ASAP. I'm gonna try to cover up anything that can't get wet, but just spraying the engine bay down with this a few times is probably going to be the move. You guys can see, like, that's all dusty. You just hit it with some. There you go. Look at that. It's all off now. Definitely a good cop, and it's gonna speed things up big time. This thing right here is amazing. Look, in tight spaces, like all the way back in there by the transmission, it's like so hard to even see. Reaching down there with my hand would have been terrible. I just take this little sprayer and boom. Look at that. Dude, look at that. So much better. Wow. I really wasted like a whole hour just trying to scrub everything down by hand. I hope none of you guys are ever in this situation, but if you need to get fire extinguisher powder out of your engine bay, definitely pick one of these bad boys up. All right, so I cleaned everything up, and we got some good news and we got some bad news. The good news is that I figured out exactly where the fire came from, or could possibly come from. I guess I'll never really know. The bad news is that the replacement part that I need to replace, which is the reason this car caught on fire, is literally nowhere to be found. I can't find it anywhere. Found a few people on Facebook that are parting out their STIs, so I asked them if I can buy it off of them. So hopefully we can find a replacement one, but as of right now, I can't find anything online anywhere. So if you guys are familiar with STIs, you guys probably know that these cars have something called AVCS. And the AVCS is very close to the exhaust manifold, which is why they have something called an AVCS heat shield. If you take a look at my AVCS AVCS heat shield. It's completely melted. It's just gone. My best educated guess is that this thing melted onto the exhaust, and this is exactly where the fire came from, because this is exactly where I saw the fire. Since this is exactly where the fire was, I can only assume that this is the cause of the fire. I was reading online, apparently it's a super common thing when you put aftermarket headers on an STI. These things tend to melt. They make aftermarket ones which are really good at resisting heat. Unfortunately, I found out a little too late, and this bad boy melted onto the header, which caused a fire on the header. Luckily though, we put it out as soon as we saw it, so nothing else really got damaged besides the heat shield. This heat shield is always replaceable. It's just really hard to find online right now. We are definitely going to replace this, but today, let's just take this thing off and clean off the exhaust manifold so that we don't have melted plastic all over it anymore. I cleaned up the engine bay pretty well, but it could use a little bit more of a detailed cleaning. This is just gonna do for now. Right now, the first order of business is to, can you guys see it? To fix up the exhaust manifold. Since the AVCS shield is melted onto the exhaust manifold, this is some pretty hard plastic. Like, this isn't just gonna come right off. So there's just one bolt up here, and then I think there's another bolt back here. We're just gonna drop the exhaust manifold and drop the heat shield as well. I'm definitely super happy that we figured out exactly where the fire came from. Now that I know, like, it was nothing like oil dripped onto the exhaust or something like that, it definitely gives me some peace of mind. It gives me a little bit of confidence in the car again, but let's go ahead, drop the manifold, drop the heat shield so we can inspect it a little bit better. All right, well, there we go. Oh baby, there's the issue. All right, time to inspect the headers. With the headers out of the car, now we can take a better look at it. Guys, don't worry, by the way, this is not pee. This is just Mio in water. I promise this isn't pee. Looking at the headers a little bit better now, you guys can see that this thing is just caked onto the header. All this white stuff is just residue from the fire extinguisher powder, because when I sprayed it with the fire extinguisher, the header was extremely, extremely hot. So because it was super hot and I sprayed the fire extinguisher onto it, this stuff is just kind of stuck on there. So we're gonna try scraping this off, because I bet you that this is going to smell. We'll just clean it up a little bit to reduce the smell. But yeah, boys, right here is the reason why we had a fire. That's kind of crazy. I didn't think that there was gonna be a problem from factory that caused the fire. I thought that it was definitely something that we did, but nah, man, this is really dangerous, and I feel like more people should know about this issue. Maybe all you guys watching this video probably already knew this and are just looking at me like I'm an idiot, but I had no clue that getting aftermarket headers would cause this to melt. I never claim to know everything. I always tell you guys, this is all a learning process for me. I'm learning as I'm going on. Whenever I learn something valuable, I always try to pass that information on to you guys. And this is a perfect example of something that I didn't know is a serious issue, but it's a serious issue. And I really hope that somebody watches this video and fixes this problem ASAP so nobody else has to go through whatever I went through. Now, this thing is very dangerous. If you guys have ever heard anything about this and decided it might not be that serious, let me tell you right now, it's that serious. My car literally caught on fire. That's as serious as it gets in my book. So if you guys want to avoid ever even possibly going through this, just go ahead, do yourself a favor, get rid of this bunk stock plastic AVCS heat shield, pick yourself up a metal Veris one. It's definitely worth the extra few bucks, especially if you have aftermarket headers. I got very lucky. This could have ended very badly. I mean, like, look at where the fire was. It's right next to the oil cooler. Imagine if the fire caught onto some oil. My whole motor would have been toast, man. If there's anything that you guys can take away from this video, it's that if you have aftermarket headers, you guys need to upgrade your AVCS shield. This is not a game, dude. It's not about the aesthetics. It's not about this thing melting. It's about that this thing literally caused a fire in my engine bay. So that's kind of crazy. Pretty crazy learning experience, to be honest. You know how I always say everything happens for a reason? Yeah. This happened for a reason. Now I get to make a video about this, warn everybody else about this, because think about how many people don't carry fire extinguishers in their car. Like, if this happened to one of the bros and they don't keep a fire extinguisher in their car, they would literally have to watch their car burn down.
Damn, so you took one for the team, huh?
I took one for the team. That's exactly, I took one for the team, boys. I took one for the team. So you guys learn from my mistake. I kept a fire extinguisher in the car, so I got very lucky. They keep a fire extinguisher in your car at all times. And also, if you have aftermarket headers, upgrade your AVCS heat shields, because these things melt and these things cause fires. It's been like a minute since I put the camera down, but upon further inspection, we unfortunately came across more damage. Always fun, right?
Yay.
Yay, more damage. This still isn't too bad. So Unfortunately, because of the fire, it looks like we might have burnt off some wires and pigtails, which isn't a big deal. I mean, we can always just rewire stuff. All right, well, this isn't too bad. That's always fun. We'll probably just snip the wires right here, extend the wire just a little bit, and then rewire it to a new pigtail, and we should be good to go. It doesn't look like it's damaged too bad. It looks like it only got damaged like right around here. The damage doesn't look like it went anywhere above here, which is good. I made this ground strap about a week ago, right before my tune. And the ground strap held up, but the freaking heat shield didn't. Whatever this wire is made out of, I need that in my life. Other than the pigtail kind of looking ugly, I think we're good because it's still pretty clipped in. The AVCS wire should be good to go. Now I'm curious about the camshaft wire. Can't really tell all that well, but it doesn't look like the wires themselves are destroyed. Like, it looks like the material around to protect the wires is kind of destroyed, but you know, at least it did its job. But the wires itself, the pigtails itself, like they're all clipped in. You can't pop them out. It's not coming out. It's clipped in and the wires don't look destroyed. So in theory, that should be all right. So I guess let's just clean up the headers, throw everything back in and just try to start the car. Let's do that and try to start the car because I really want to get this thing started today. If we start it and it catches on fire right away, don't use a fire extinguisher. No. Let it burn down. There is no way I can clean all that up again. I spent way too much time cleaning everything up to do it again. Just let her burn. It's just plastic, should snap off. Ooh, I'm keeping this as a souvenir. This got so hot that this plastic just started to drip down. This isn't your average plastic. Like, this is some reinforced plastic. That's crazy. Look at that. That's beautiful. We made sure we got as much of the plastic off as we could. I went through the whole header, tried to get all the fire extinguisher powder off. There's just some hard to reach areas like this, but it's not that big of a deal. It's probably just gonna burn off anyway. Just wanted to clean it up as much as I could. The plastic is pretty much all off. That's what's important. This whole situation definitely sucks, but it is funny and it's a good learning experience. I wanna hook up the jumper cables to the car and try starting it. I hope that it starts. If it doesn't start, I have no idea what it is. We have to go through an entire checklist and try to figure out what wire's gone bad or whatever, but hopefully, fingers crossed, once we plug in the headers, the car starts. We're not gonna be able to start it for too long though, because we have no heat shield for the AVCS.
Are you hopeful?
I'm feeling kind of hopeful, but I'm not gonna lie, I am feeling a little doubtful. Very, like, this is how much doubt, this is how much doubt I'm feeling right now. Like, the camera thinks that my fingers are touching, but they're not. That much? Yeah, that's how doubtful I am that it might not start. Because I don't know. I really hope it starts. Fingers crossed that it starts. Line it up with the holes and boom, baby. Got the daily, charging up the STI. Fingers crossed it was only a battery issue and that it actually cranks and starts. I don't think we're gonna need it, but if we do, you know where the fire extinguisher is.
We're there.
I just checked the oil, we're good on oil, so it should crank. Fingers crossed. Ready?
I'm ready. You tried it?
Yeah, it's not the battery. Clutch all the way down, like as down as it could go. Neutral and nothing. Everything cuts out. Everything inside the car like cuts out when I try to start it. There's just no crank, which is weird. Damn, man, that's really unfortunate. Alright, this has to be the strangest predicament to be in right now. So the car's not starting, so I figured let's hop into the access port and reset the ECU codes. I mean, there were no ECU codes, but I figured let's just go ahead and reset the ECU codes to maybe make the car start. I don't know, I'm trying everything I can here. I'm just trying a bunch of different things to get this car to start. I go and click on reset ECU code, so that way if there's any codes, it just resets it, and it says verified that the ignition switch is in the on position. And as you guys can see, it's in the on position. It just will not let me continue. It's as if the car's not on, but it's on. And it's weird because I don't hear the fuel pump priming, so it's strange. Very strange.
Many minutes later.
Time check. 2:35 in the morning. And I have been here since I got to the shop around 10 a.m. Around 10:30 a.m. So I've been here for a very long time. It's nighttime now. I am extremely tired. We've just been grinding all day out on my little brother's car. We have his headliner in the back because we just painted it black. And then I've also been grinding out on the STI. We have been working all day vigorously trying to get this thing to start. I went through the entire engine harness a few times. I rewired a bunch of things. I went through every single fuse. We went through every single fuse.
Every single ground.
Every single ground. We cleaned up every single ground. We went through a lot of crap today. We may have just found the culprit for the car not starting, and it was the dumbest little thing. I can't believe that we may have not known. I don't know if it's gonna start, but I have a really high feeling now because now the fuel pump is turning on. The whole time we were trying to start it, cob access port was not connecting with the ECU, the fuel pump was not turning on, and the starter wasn't even igniting, so it was just a whole bunch of electrical issues. I think that we may have found our issue, and yeah, I mean, let's go ahead, try to start her up. All right, please start. All right, so now I'm gonna turn the key and we're gonna hear the fuel pump. We should hear the fuel pump. We weren't able to hear it before, but now we can hear it, or we should be able to hear it. I heard the fuel pump.
There it is.
There's the fuel pump.
Check the cob. What's the
All right, the cob's turning on. Oh, the car's about to start. Dude, the car's about to start. Also, just stay in front of the car. I know it's not gonna catch fire, but just stand in front of the car in case it does. Last time I drove this thing, y'all know what happened. Hey yo, my bro, stay strapped, dog. All right, clutch down. Let's go! Let's go! So hyped right now. I'm so hyped right now, dude. Oh. Now that we know this car works, we can kind of explain what exactly went wrong. So we were having no crank, no start, no nothing. The car was not connecting with the ECU. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like I said, we checked every single ground. We added more grounds. As you guys can see right over here, I added another ground going to the chassis. We checked every single fuse. I checked all the harnesses. I rewired part of the harness that was close to where the fire happened, right here. Literally all this I just rewired today, and yeah, it was nothing. I took off the intercooler, tried looking for everything. At the end of the day, it was the dumbest little thing. You go into the passenger side footwell of these cars, and you look down here, and look at that. There's like a little fuse box. There's legitimately only 2 fuses, and the second fuse was blown. That was literally it. We have like a whole multimeter out. We were checking every single fuse, and yeah, it was just the second 15 amp fuse. I didn't even know there was a fuse box there. I was just desperate looking for any possible thing. You guys can see, like, we popped open everything, bro. I've been calling all my friends that are mechanically inclined all day nonstop. I've been bothering the crap out of Jay. Jay, if you're watching this, thank you, homie. He has been helping me through this whole thing, and we couldn't figure anything out. We knew it was an electrical issue, but we just couldn't figure out what it was. But at the end of the day, all it was just a fuse. That's crazy. I really do wonder why the fuse blew. I'm glad we got the car sorted out. Like I said, I have to order a heat shield. I can't drive the car until the heat shield is in, so we're not gonna drive the car. We're not gonna let the car warm up or any of that good stuff. The car is gonna be off of commission for just a little bit longer until that heat shield comes in, but I am glad that the car is okay from the fire, and I'm glad we figured out what caused the fire. And if you guys have aftermarket headers, y'all know what to do. Stop playing around, go ahead and order yourself a heat shield, because this whole situation could happen to you, and you don't want this situation happening to you. I am super tired. I'm really glad we figured this whole situation out. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.